The sky above Marineford does not crack often, but when it does, every admiral on that plaza looks up at the same time. There is no ship, no Sea King, no devil fruit explosion announcing what just arrived. Just a man standing on the water like the ocean itself forgot to pull him under. His robe moves in no wind. His eyes are already open, already scanning, already unimpressed. Madara Uchiha has arrived in the One Piece world, and nothing here scares him yet. That is the first problem. The second problem is that nothing here should. Madara walked out of a war where entire mountains were reshaped by single jutsu exchanges. He has absorbed the chakra of the Ten Tails and reshaped the moon's surface with one technique. By raw destructive sealing, almost nothing sailing the Grand Line comes close on paper. So if this is just a power conversation, it ends early, and it ends badly for this world. But the One Piece world is not a power conversation. It never has been. This is a world built on seas that divide everything, on information that travels slowly, on political webs older than any single fighter. It is a world where the strongest man alive spent decades doing nothing, just to hold a balance. Madara does not understand balance. He tried to replace it with his own dream. That gap is where the scenario actually lives. The first person to notice Madara is not Sengoku. It is not even a Yonko spy. It is a low-ranking marine on a routine patrol ship near the Sabaody archipelago. He sees a man walking on open ocean. No ship, no fruitability detectable, no wake behind him. He sends a report that immediately gets treated as a log pose malfunction. That delay matters. In the One Piece world, information is always the first casualty. By the time the Marines take it seriously, Madara has already reached Sabaody, and Sabaody is the worst possible place to introduce an entity who does not understand social hierarchy. He walks through the auction house district, not looking for trouble, but radiating the kind of pressure that creates it. A Celestial Dragon's guard makes the mistake every guard in this arc makes. The Celestial Dragon orders Madara to kneel. There is a long pause. Then the guard is gone. The building is gone. Not violently, just structurally erased by a Susanoo arm that appeared and disappeared in under 2 seconds. The Celestial Dragon is still sitting in his chair, unharmed, hyperventilating. Madara looks at him once, decides he is not a threat, and walks out. That moment changes everything about how this world responds to him, because the Celestial Dragon survived. Which means a Buster Call gets authorized within the hour. 5 Vice Admirals and 10 warships converge on Sabaody before Madara even reaches the mangrove roots. This is the One Piece world's first real institutional response to Madara Uchiha. And it is the wrong response. The Marines are calibrated to fight Devil Fruit users. They are calibrated to fight pirates who operate within the logic of Haki and Sea Stone. Madara operates on neither axis. Kenbun Shoku Haki reads intent and presence. Against Madara, it lights up like a warning fire in a hurricane. Every Haki-sensitive Marine on those ships feels something wrong before the first technique lands. But feeling wrong and knowing what to do about it are different problems. The first Vice Admiral to engage him throws a Haki-coated slash fast enough to split a cliff. Madara catches it with one hand. Not a block, a catch. Fingers closed around the blade edge. He is not impressed. He is analyzing. In his mind, he is already categorizing. Physical enhancement, spiritual pressure layered onto matter. No external energy system visible. He files Haki as a variant of chakra expression. Crude, but real. He files the Vice Admiral as a Jonin-class combatant, at best. He files the Buster Call fleet as an obstacle, not a threat. Then he walks through the ships, not around them, through them. The perfect Susanoo does not rise here because Madara does not consider this worth the full scale. He uses 1 Limbo clone, 1 fire technique, and 1 Susanoo arm, and the fleet is structurally compromised in under 4 minutes. No one dies if Madara does not want them to, and right now, he does not want them to. He is not here to conquer. He is not here to destroy. He is here because he woke up in a world he did not choose. And his first instinct, like always, is to understand it before he decides what to do with it. That instinct is both his most dangerous quality and his deepest flaw. Because understanding a world like the One Piece world takes time. And time in this world means the Yonko are already being briefed. Whitebeard hears the report on his ship somewhere in the New World. His commanders are already arguing about what category this man falls into. Marco says he has never felt a presence like that through his observation Haki, and that alone means something Whitebeard says nothing for a long time. Then he says, find out what he wants. That is the most important line anyone speaks in this entire scenario. Because Madara Uchiha, for all his destructive capacity, has always been a man driven by a specific vision. He did not fight Hashirama for sport. He did not summon the 10 tails for chaos. Everything he has ever done has been architecture toward one idea, a world without suffering through infinite illusion. The Infinite Tsukuyomi is not cruelty. In Madara's mind, it is mercy. That ideology, dropped into the One Piece world, does not land as evil. It lands as something far more dangerous. It lands as almost reasonable, because the One Piece world is full of people who have suffered enough to listen. Boa Hancock has been a slave. Robin watched her entire island burn. Nami's village bled for years. Madara does not need to conquer this world with force first. He only needs to find the right person who is tired enough to say yes. That is the version of this scenario most people completely skip past. They want to talk about whether Kaido's durability holds up against Susanoo. They want to debate whether Shanks' Haki can match Madara's chakra output. Those are real questions, but they are the wrong questions. The right question is what happens to a world already fractured by 800 years of institutional lies when a man with a god-level illusion technique starts talking about peace. Ryokugyu and Kizaru are deployed next, not together, separately, to observe first. Kizaru arrives at the island Madara has settled on temporarily, moving at light speed, casual as always. He fires a light beam at Madara from orbit distance before saying a single word. Madara does not dodge. The beam connects. There is a pause. Kizaru tilts his head slightly. That reaction is more honest than anything he has said in years. Madara looks at the scorch on his sleeve and genuinely seems mildly interested. Then he uses Uchiha Reflection, and Kizaru's next light attack bends back at angles that should not be geometrically possible. Kizaru is fast enough to avoid it, but only barely, and he was moving at light speed. For the first time in a long time, Admiral Kizaru does not feel like the fastest thing in the conversation. He retreats to report back. His report is short. It says, "Do not engage without Haki-based strategy and full fleet support." It says, "Unknown energy system, not devil fruit. Not Haki, something else entirely." That report reaches Fleet Admiral Akainu and it rewires his entire strategic posture in one reading. Akainu's instinct is always to overwhelm. Absolute justice means absolute force applied without hesitation. But even Sakazuki understands that throwing magma at something that can absorb and redirect energy is not a plan. It is a funeral with extra steps. So the world government does something it almost never does voluntarily. It waits. And while it waits, Madara walks deeper into this world. He finds the New World's storms, its impossible ocean, its ancient ruins still holding secrets. He finds the poneglyphs and cannot read them, but recognizes the weight of suppressed history immediately. A man who was written out of his own world's history by the village that feared him knows exactly what suppressed truth looks like. That recognition is quiet. But it is the moment Madara stops treating this world as a temporary landing point. He starts treating it as a structure worth understanding on its own terms. The Revolutionaries detect him before the Yonko make direct contact. Dragon's network is built for exactly this kind of anomaly, a power that does not fit the existing system. Dragon does not send an army. He sends one person to talk. That conversation does not go well. Not because of hostility, because Madara listens to Dragon's ideology about freedom and institutional dismantling and says something that stops Dragon completely. He says, "I tried that. It does not work. People given freedom choose suffering every single time." Dragon has no immediate answer, because he knows Madara is not entirely wrong. That silence between them is the most dangerous moment in this entire scenario. Not Susanoo over Marineford, not Madara versus an admiral. Two men who genuinely believe they are saving the world and neither one can prove the other wrong yet. Eventually, Shanks moves. Not aggressively. Shanks never moves aggressively first. He arrives on the same island as Madara, with no fleet, no weapons drawn, just his crew at distance. He walks up and sits down across from Madara like they are two people sharing the same shoreline. Madara watches him for a long time. He senses no killing intent. He senses something rarer, genuine stillness from someone with the capacity for total violence. He recognizes it because Hashirama had it, and Hashirama was the only person Madara ever truly respected. That recognition does not make Madara soft, but it makes him pause longer than anything else has. Shanks does not try to defeat Madara. He tries to give him something to stay curious about. He talks about the One Piece, about what the world looked like before the Void Century erased it. Madara says nothing for the entire conversation. But he does not leave either. And in the One Piece world, a man who stays when he could destroy everything is already something different than a threat. He is a variable, and variables in this world always end up connected to the One Piece itself. The real answer to this scenario is not who defeats Madara. Nothing sailing these seas defeats Madara cleanly, and anyone who tells you otherwise is doing math without the full equation. The real answer is what this world does to a man whose entire identity was built on a dream that failed. The One Piece world does not beat its most dangerous visitors through power. It beats them by giving them something worth waiting for. And a man who spent his entire life building toward a dream he never got to see completed is exactly the kind of man this world knows how to hold.